A click beetle has no jumping legs, yet it hurls itself into the air. The launch comes from a mechanism hidden inside its chest, and it moves faster than its own nervous system can react. Flip one onto its back, and it looks stranded, its legs pawing uselessly at the air with nothing to push against. Then it goes completely still, quietly winding something up. And then, with a sharp, audible click, it is gone, snapped a foot straight up and tumbling end over end before it clatters back down, having used no legs at all. That click is the whole secret. It is the sound of a spring-loaded latch inside the beetle letting go. Most people who see it assume a muscle fired hard somewhere. It did not. What just happened is a trick of physics that ordinary muscle cannot perform, and the beetle has been doing it since long before anything with a spine tried to jump. Watch closely, because this only gets stranger with every layer we peel back. The click you heard is not the beetle jumping. It is the sound of a latch failing on purpose, and what that latch is holding back is the real story. Open a field guide, and the click beetle gets a single, tidy sentence. It is the beetle that can flip itself right side up. Fall on your back, the guide says, and most insects are in trouble. Their legs wave in the air and never reach the ground to push off. The click beetle solved that. When it lands upside down, it bends its body, clicks, and flips over. Problem solved, mystery closed. There are around 10,000 species of these beetles worldwide, living in nearly every habitat from your backyard lawn to deep forest litter, ranging from a few millimeters to the length of your thumb. Some tropical ones even glow in the dark. But almost every description stops at the same place. It clicks, it flips, it is clever, moving on. That tidy sentence is true. It is also exactly where the real explanation quietly gets skipped, because saying it flips itself over tells you what you see and nothing about how. And the how is a genuine problem in physics. A body that's small, with no long legs and no room for a running start, should not be able to throw itself anywhere. And what happens by the end of this is far stranger than a beetle standing back up. To understand the click, you have to turn the beetle over and look at its underside. Turn a click beetle over and look at the joint between its first and second pairs of legs. There is a flexible hinge there, connecting the front segment of its body to the rest. On the underside of that hinge sits a small, stiff spine, and just behind the spine, a matching notch. That spine and that notch are the entire machine. When the beetle wants to launch, it arches its body so the spine slides up and presses against a ledge at the mouth of the notch. Now it pulls hard, with strong muscles in its thorax, trying to snap the two halves of its body together. But the spine is caught on that ledge. It cannot drop into the notch. So the beetle keeps pulling, and the body does not move, and the force just builds and builds against a catch that refuses to give. The whole front half of the animal is now bent like a drawn bow, loaded with energy and held by a single point of contact. Nothing is moving. From the outside, it simply looks like a beetle sitting still. Then the spine slips past the ledge. In an instant, the two halves slam together. The middle of the beetle punches down against the ground, and the entire animal is thrown skyward. That is the click. And here is where it stops making ordinary sense, because of how impossibly fast that slam has to be. A click beetle's launch is faster than any muscle in its body could ever move. Muscle is strong, but muscle is slow. It contracts by dragging fibers past each other, and that takes far too long to throw a body into the air. So the beetle cheats. Its muscles take their time, a lazy fraction of a second, loading energy into its springy body while the latch holds everything locked. Then the latch lets go, and all that stored energy dumps out at once, in well under a millisecond. The muscle never has to be fast. The spring and the latch make the speed. That is the whole trick, and engineers even have a name for it: latch-mediated spring actuation, with the click beetle as one of its purest examples in nature. It is the difference between slowly shoving a door and loading a mousetrap, then letting it snap. But storing that much energy and releasing it that fast comes with a violent consequence, one that by rights should tear the beetle apart. The energy leaves so quickly that its whole body slams through forces most living tissue would never survive. and scientists only measured just how extreme those forces are decades after the click was first described. That number is the layer almost no one ever mentions. Here is the part that changes how you see the whole thing. When that latch releases, the click beetle does not gently hop upward. It is flung into the air with an acceleration of up to 380 times the force of gravity. A fighter pilot blacks out somewhere around 9. A violent car crash might peak near 100 for just a few milliseconds. The beetle shrugs off nearly 380, again and again, on purpose. Its body is built to take a beating that would rupture the organs of almost anything larger. We promised you a launch faster than the beetle's own nervous system, and this is exactly why that matters. The jump is far too fast for the brain to steer. Once the latch goes, there is no aiming, no correcting, no control at all. The beetle is simply a passenger inside its own catapult. It spins wildly, end over end, a body barely 1 centimeter long thrown as high as 30 centimeters, and where it comes down is very nearly luck. Often it lands on its back again and has to reload and fire all over. So that tidy field guide line, that it flips itself upright, turns out to be almost the opposite of the truth. The click beetle does not calmly right itself. It throws itself blindly into the air and hopes it lands the right way up. And this blind, brutal catapult is not some beetle quirk at all. Nature has built the very same machine again and again in creatures that look nothing like it. The click beetle's hidden spring turns out to be one of nature's favorite machines. The mantis shrimp punches with the very same trick, throwing a club fast enough to flash boil the water around it. Trapjaw ants snap their jaws with it, hard enough to hurl their whole bodies off the ground. Fleas, froghoppers, even some fungi flinging their spores all run on the same story, then release its spring. None of them are related to each other, and none copied another. They each slammed into the same wall. Muscle is simply too slow to move a tiny body fast, and each answered it exactly the same way, with a spring and a latch. That is the real lesson hiding in a beetle lying on its back. Below a certain size, muscle alone cannot make speed, so life keeps reinventing the catapult from scratch. And now we have joined the list ourselves. Robotics labs studying the click beetle have built tiny jumping robots that bend a spring, trip a latch, and leap, because no motor is fast enough to do it directly. It is the beetle's ancient idea, rebuilt in metal and plastic. Human engineers spent years arriving at a solution a legless beetle was born already knowing. The next time one clicks out of your open palm, remember it is not flailing helplessly. It is running a piece of physics we are still trying to catch up to. A click beetle spends its entire life carrying a loaded catapult it can never aim. Every click you hear is that same gamble, taken one more time.